Hey guys, it's Jen. Happy International Scrapbook Day. Lots of fun and exciting things going on all around the internet. I will have several videos up on my channel today, as well as freebies on my blog, so be sure to check that out. But this video is a scrapbook challenge for the Scrap Gals Facebook group, the Scrap Gals community. And this is a recipe challenge. So what that means is that I'm going to give you a list of ingredients that you need to include on your layout. And excuse me. And it's just a fun way to challenge yourself to create outside the box and just do a little creative thinking. So I've kind of done it as a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the first one is 5 photos, and so I have these 5 photos of my daughter here. Now I know 5 photos is a lot, and 5 photos isn't a requisite, but it is. But I do want you to use multiple photos. So if you don't have 5, just use multiple. But I'm doing 5 to go along with my whole 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing. And I also have 5. So 5 photos. 4 embellishments. So I think that the embellishments I'm going to be using, let me put these over here. The embellishments that I plan to use are these. I have Hello Sunshine from Pink Paisley. This is a waterfall pack of just chipboard pieces. This is a great way to use up some of the older items in your stash, or the things that you've been holding on to and hoarding, to just grab a bunch of stuff and put it together. I did choose my photos first, so I kind of knew what colors would match with what I'm going to be working with. These Project Life rub-ons, and these are they're gold, but they almost they're a warm gold, so I'm going to try those. These are some Studio Calico, they're like rip apart word strips. And then I also have these Studio Calico vellum stars. So those are the 4 embellishments that I plan to use. The next one is 3 patterned paper scraps. Now, if you don't keep scraps, or if you don't have any scraps, I'm surprised, but you can use full papers. But I really wanted to encourage you to use your scraps. So these are the pattern paper scraps I'm going to be using. I actually have 4 here, but I'm not sure that I'll use all of them. I pulled these 4, and we'll see which of them that I use. So you just have to use at least 3, but you could use more if you wanted to. The 2 is 2 alphabets. So I plan to use a larger alphabet and a smaller alphabet. That's how I like to create my titles often, is to mix a large font with a smaller font. And so I'm going to use these, I think, from Amy Tangerine for my smaller font. And then for the larger one, I'm either going to use these stickers from Dear Lizzie. They're kind of like an aqua color. Or these Maggie Holmes gold foiled stickers. And I haven't decided which ones I want to use yet, so that's why I pulled both of them, but I will just use 2. And then the 1 is to use a mist or a paint of some sort. So I want you to do a little bit of mixed media. It doesn't have to be out of control. Mist is pretty standard. I think a lot of people use that. You could use watercolors. You could use like modeling paste if you wanted to. You could use distress crayons. You could use gelatos. Anything like that. I'm going to use a distress stain. I'm going to use the Broken China color. Sorry, my camera keeps going out of focus there. I'm going to use Broken China because it's blue, and my photos have a lot of blue in them, so I'm going to try that. And then I'm just going to put it all on a cardstock background. So I didn't put anything for the background. You can do whatever you want for that. But so those are the 5 requirements. They'll be posted over in the Scrap Gals community if you need to reference them again, or you can write them down. But just once again, it's 5 photos or multiple photos, 4 embellishments, 3 patterned paper scraps, 2 alphabets, and 1 mist, paint, or some sort of other mixed media item. So that is the challenge, and I'm going to go ahead and create a layout now using these products, and I will come back and show you. I'm going to speed up my process and talk you through it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do on this layout is figure out how I want to arrange the photos. Because I have so many, they're all vertical, so that kind of helps me with kind of figuring out how I want them to go. So I'm going to place the smaller 3x4 photos in a grid and then place the larger one on the side. And that creates a nice little place above my larger photo for a title. With my scrap papers, what I decided to do was just make kind of a little border along the top of some kind of random scraps. So the one floral paper, which is from Maggie Holmes, is going to go all the way across the top, and the other two papers are going to not quite go the whole length, but they'll just be layered up underneath it. I also decided to take a little strip of the floral and put it at the bottom, so it kind of holds everything into the layout. So just a small strip at the bottom and larger strips at the top. So now that I have kind of the layout of the page done, what I'm going to do is work on the title. So I'm pulling out these light aqua thickers first to see if that will work, and they seem kind of small to me, so I'm going to go immediately to these Maggie Holmes gold stickers. And I remember seeing Tiffany, one of the scrap gals, use these and say that they didn't stick very well, and she's absolutely right, they don't stick very well. I use extra adhesive on these. It's kind of a pain, but they're really cute. So I'm using the largest font. It comes in several sizes, and I'm going to use that for my title. And I think my title is going to be Strike a Pose. So because I chose the gold letters, that's perfect for the gold rub-ons. And what I decided to do was a trick that I saw Irit Landgraf do, which is freaking awesome. And she used a little bit of fun foam and put her rub-ons on there, and it looks like a cute little like puffy sticker, or I don't know. I just really like the way that this embellishment turns out. So I am just rubbing the cameras onto this foam and then cutting around it. And it just, again, I love the way this turns out. It's super, super cute. So that foam I got at Walmart, a huge package of it for like $5. You can buy it online. I'll link to a place where you can find it online as well. But it's really inexpensive. So I'm going to use both of the cameras because this is talking about striking a pose, and my daughter, we were doing a photo shoot for some girls at church, and my daughter never wants her photo taken, but she decided that since all the other girls were, that she wanted to, and she was posing, and it was really funny. She was being really cute. So that is what this layout is all about. So now that I have my two cameras, I'm trying to decide where I want them to go. I thought about the top right and the bottom left, just to kind of create that diagonal look. But you'll see me move them around here in a second. So now I'm pulling out those little Studio Calico rip apart little label thingies, little word strips, and I am obsessed with those. I really love them. I love the way that they look, the perforated look of them. They're fun to rip out. I don't know, there's something about them. I just really, really like them. And I'm looking up on my computer right now to see when these photos were taken, because there's a little strip. These are a little bit older. There's a strip that says something about 2014, and I wanted to know if that was the year that these were taken. I was pretty sure, but wasn't exactly positive. So I did decide to use that documented 2014 little strip, and then I placed them all over the center of where the four photos meet, and I really like the way that looks. And then one of the cameras is going to go in that cluster as well, and I think that looks really nice. And I'm not worried about covering up just a little bit of the photo, because there are four photos there, and they whatever I cover up in one photo will get shown in another photo, so it works out great. So as I was talking about that center cluster, I did pull out those chipboard pieces, and I'm trying to work in this Be Happy, Be Bright, Be You, but it's just not quite what I need for this layout. I used those Amy Tangerine clear letter tile stickers to write the word strike a, so it's going to say strike a pose. And I'm going to think about what I want to go to the left of my title, because you can see that there's a little bit of space there. So while I'm thinking about that, I decide that I want to use the distress stain to do a little bit of a packaging technique. So what I'm doing is just putting a little bit of the distress stain on some packaging, and then adding a little bit of water and squishing it down onto the layout. It's a really simple technique, and it's really fun, and I like adding the water to this one because it makes it a really soft blue, and it really matches my daughter's shirt, and I like the way that ends up looking. So now I'm just going to start adhering everything down because I have the basic bones of my layout decided. And I'm just going to kind of slide those top pieces underneath. You can see that I'm going to place one a little bit to the right and one a little bit to the left, just so that where the lengths of those blue pieces end is a little bit different. And now I can go ahead and get my photos glued down. Now you're going to see me do something here that I don't do very often. I think I pull out a ruler. We'll see. I vaguely recall pulling out a ruler. But maybe I didn't. I think that might have been on another layout that I did for National Scrapbook Day. I did pull out a ruler recently, which I thought Tracy would be proud of me. So that bottom little splat isn't quite dry, so I just took out my heat gun and dried it a little bit more. And it seems okay. And just gluing everything down. And then I will go ahead and get those center strips put on. So I'm going to glue those strips down, and then later I will end up stapling a few of those down. So I'm just going to lift things up a little bit so I can slide my tiny attacher in there to get those stapled down. But I really like the way that little cluster ends up looking. I'm going to play with it quite a bit to figure out exactly how I want to do this. You saw me just put some adhesive on the back of that camera, but I forgot that the foam was adhesive back, so I just peeled off the backing and put it on. I'm going to overlap my title onto my photo because there's a little bit of empty space right there, and I really like the way that it looks when you can overlap things like that. It just gives things a sense of cohesiveness, if that's a word. And so now that my title's down, I can just go ahead and work on a little bit of embellishing in that top corner. I've got my little camera there, so I'm trying to figure out exactly how that will work out. And now I'm pulling out those little vellum stars. I'm going to put one in the center of each camera, just a little tiny one, and I think that turns out cute. And then I'll use a couple more up in that top cluster in a minute here. From the chipboard sheet, I pulled out a little tiny little word that says cutie. I tried that be bright, be happy, be you, but that just wasn't working still. There were a couple of photo corners, so I'm going to put those onto my larger photo just on the left hand side, and it's kind of a light blue color, so it works well for this. And now I just need to decide what else I want to put up in that top, and I decided that would be a good home for my journaling. So I'm going to draw some journaling lines. I did pull out a ruler on here, I guess. I just used it for journaling lines. I'm using a gray pen to just draw the lines on there. And I'll just leave a little bit of room for journaling for myself. And I'm just going to write about how my daughter never likes her photo being taken, but sometimes she can be peer pressured into it. So since other people were having their photo taken, she was okay with her photo being taken. So here you can see I have my journaling done. I left a little space for that camera there, and now I'm going to add a couple of those vellum stars stickers up there, and I'm just using the blue again. And this layout is almost finished. I'm thinking it looks pretty good. Adding a little extra adhesive there at the top. And I think this is where I'm going to like play around a lot or a little with some different embellishments that I thought I might want to add to that center cluster. So I'm just going through the chipboard pieces again to see if there's anything else I can add. I kind of like that little polka dot heart, and so I put it below the word cutie, and I kind of like it there. And so I'm thinking about a way that I can incorporate that heart, but it seems a little bit large. I want the camera to be the large thing, not the heart. So I'm going to try these. I have a couple of heart rub-ons on that same rub-on sheet the camera came from, and I'm going to try those. So I'm putting them on the foam and cutting them out, and I do kind of like the way that looks as well. And I'm just playing around with trying to get the balance right here. I don't want it to seem heavy on both sides. The center goes out longer, and then everything else kind of tapers down, and so it's not quite right for me. I'm going to play around quite a lot with this, and I'm going to do a couple of smaller hearts as well. You can see there's a little stripe of hearts down at the bottom of that rub-on sheet. It's sitting there to the left of my layout, and I'm using a couple of the smaller hearts because I'm thinking that heart's too big. I want to do something smaller. So I'm just cutting those out, and I like the way the smaller heart looks. I'm trying to think, where could I use this bigger heart? I'm thinking about putting a cluster up there at the top, and I kind of really like the way that's looking. And you'll see me come back to that here in just a second. So I'm just cutting out that other small heart, thinking about where I might want to place that. Sorry, my hands are off camera here, cutting that out. But thinking, would that look good if I put it above the camera? Then I tried to move the camera, but that adhesive sticks pretty well to the photo, so I cannot move it. So I won't be moving that camera. So now I'm going back to the idea of that cluster at the top, and I'm thinking it might be cute if I put a couple of these little word strips up there with the heart, and then I can create another little cluster up there. So I'm just finding some that work with the theme of my layout, and then I'm thinking if I'm going to put some up there, I need one more place where those little strips are going to be, because I like to do things in threes. So I thought about next to the title for a second, and that wasn't working. And you'll see that I decide to put some down at the bottom of my photo there. So I kind of have 4 embellishment clusters, one with the title area, one at the top right, one in the center of the photos, and one at the bottom of my larger photo. And I'm okay with doing things that are a little bit different like that sometimes, and I think it works okay on this layout. So I have a couple of strips at the top, a couple of strips at the bottom, and then there's a heart in each of those clusters. So I like the way that ends up looking, and I'm still trying to decide if I want the large heart in the main cluster or up at the top, but I'll make my mind up here in a minute. So I'm just looking at the word strips, trying to find, I want some that are 2 different lengths so that they layer together nicely, kind of. And so I'm just trying to figure out what phrases will work for that. And then when I'm done with putting these phrases on, that's pretty much going to complete this layout. I wanted to keep it pretty simple, focus on the photos. The photos take up a lot of the real estate anyway, so that is going to finish this one off pretty much. And I'm going to come back here and talk to you real time about how I completed this layout and remind you of the challenge prompts. So thanks so much for watching, and there will be still photos at the end. Okay, so I'm calling this one finished. You can see that I just hardly used any of this chipboard. It didn't work as well as I thought it might, but I did use these 3 little pieces. And then for the rub-ons, I ended up putting them on the foam, which you saw, and they're in 4 places. And then the little stars I just put inside the cameras, and then a couple more right there. Just a really subtle effect with that blue, the China... what's it called? Broken China Distress Stain. I added water to it so it was a little bit softer of a color, and it matches her shirt really well, which is good. And then I've got my 3 patterned papers and my 5 photos. I hope that that was inspiring for you, and I can't wait to see what you end up creating. Thanks so much for watching, and check out the Scrap Gals community for more challenges throughout the day.